Hi folks, I'm smoking my um, ROP pipe, the large ROP, and in it I've got Samuel Garth's Sweet Maple Twist. This is just a chatette really, just odds and ends. I lost 3.5 pounds in weight this week, so I'm quite pleased about that. Another 2.5 and I'll have broken 17 stone, which is lovely. I'll have, gone out of 18 into the 17 stones, which is great. I'm doing really well. I have about another 4 stone to lose after that, 4 or 5 stone. I want to get down to 12 if possible, which will be very thin then, but we'll see how it goes. I bought my rail tickets to Leeds for the Leeds Pipe Meeting Group, which I want to attend and hope to see Tim there. Well, I will see Tim there. He's meeting me at the station and we'll walk up to where the group meets. I'm really looking forward to that, and I probably will make it a regular monthly trip out for me. Carolyn has no objections. And the following week we have our own Newcastle pipe meet, which again I'm really looking forward to. The advantage of pipe meets are just that you get to know other smokers, you get to have interesting conversations. Sometimes just the type of conversation you have with anybody. We go all over the place in the Newcastle group. But that's nice, just smoking together, talking, sharing the likes and dislikes in tobacco and some of life's problems. I'm beginning to think about exercise. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. There are 2 walking groups that I want to join, one on a Wednesday morning and one on a Sunday morning. They're walking for fitness and health, and they're sort of fairly short walks, and you don't have to be an energetic walker because you'll never be last, because they have somebody who walks at the back and just makes sure that everybody's okay. I will probably go swimming because Carolyn can go with me, although she can't really swim much because of her disabilities, but she can exercise in the water. The only thing that's sort of putting me off is getting fit. I'm not sure how many lengths I'll be able to do these days, but I'm sure that will soon build up. And I'm wondering about doing yoga and some of the other groups that are around, like spinning, although that's a bit heavy to begin with. There's boxercise and 1 or 2 other things that might be a possibility. I want to work up to having a group each day. I could go out for a walk each day, but doing that by yourself is not the best way. Whereas if you're exercising with a group, it's much more effective and you get more done. Sorry, I'll just tamp this down a bit and relight it. One of the great advantages of the slimming method that I'm on, which is Slimming World, is that you can eat almost anything. Some things have a sin value and you're only allowed so many sins a day. Some people save them up all week and go out for the weekend, but I don't think that's a very effective way of doing it. It's better to stick to your daily routine. There are various sort of, vegetables are free, fruit is free, or most fruits are free, but some are called speed items that help you rapidly to lose weight. And if you really want to lose weight, you need to have a lot of those kind of vegetables. They say have a third at least on your plate of the vegetables. You could even have bacon, egg, chips, broad bean, baked beans, a full English breakfast. But if you do, you've got to cut all the fat off the bacon. So you end up with sort of like a little piece of bacon that's got no fat on it at all, but it's still very tasty, especially if you use smoked bacon. And I really enjoy the groups. You get a lot of support, a lot of friendship, and one or two laughs, really. I would recommend Slimming World to anybody. I don't know what the American groups are like, but if they're anything like the English groups, you're guaranteed to lose weight. As long as you attend the meetings and make sure that you plan your meals, then you will lose weight. And it doesn't seem or feel as if I'm on a diet. I think that's an attitude of mind. It's really a whole new lifestyle. So if you have a steak, it needs to be as fat-free as possible. If you have chips, they need to be homemade ones with as little fat on them as possible. You use a 1-cal spray and bake them in the oven. I don't really miss a lot. I occasionally wish I could have a pack. Well, I can have a packet of crisps if I want, but they count as sins, so I try and avoid that. And the other thing I miss is English fish and chips, haddock and chips. I prefer haddock to cod, because cod can have a thing called codworm. But if it's well cooked, the worm's dead anyway, but a Yorkshireman would have haddock. Carolyn was out at quilting today, so that was nice for her. She enjoys that, her quilting group. And it gives me a little time at the end of the slimming group just to have a cuppa by myself and a smoke and relax with the dogs, as far as possible with the dogs. I really haven't done any writing, and I want to get back to that. I want to do something for this week's group. So I might do that tomorrow if I can get round to it. It's something I keep telling myself I'm going to do each week, but it hasn't happened so far. I'm now on the last book that I have to read in the Dune series, which is one by Frank Herbert's son, House Carino. But I then want to read a book on Saxon archaeology and Saxon belief that the archaeologists, based on archaeology rather than sort of the New Age sort of Saxon beliefs. I love history and archaeology and science and non-fiction books especially. But I also like a lot of fiction. So I need to be thinking of what I'm going to read afterwards. And I think it'll probably be one of the Ruth Galloway books, which are very good. And they're based on an archaeologist who's a specialist in bones. It's really crime books as much as archaeology. One of the nice things about where we live is that we're only 15 minutes at the most from the coast, and there are some beautiful beaches around here. You're 15 minutes from the motorway, so there's a lot of accessibility in going to other places. And you're 15 minutes from the hills of Northumbria, and you can go up to the Roman road and walk around there, which is very nice. Durham is called the county of the Prince Bishops because a lot of the early bishops were around that area, and Cuthbert's body was taken to Durham Cathedral to get it away from the Vikings. Where I was born in Norfolk, that was part of the Danelaw. It was ruled by the Vikings for a long time. But before them, it was Angles and Saxons and Jutes and Beaker folk. So there's a lot of history there. I might try and do a video at some point of interest around here. The Bede was here at Jarrow, which is just, again, about 15 minutes away. And there's a Saxon village there. And Lindisfarne, the Holy Island, is just up the coast. But you have to plan that for the tides, otherwise you'll get sort of stuck on the island until the tide turns. So you could be there all night or most of the day, depending on what time of the day you get there. Anyway, I've probably bored you enough of this little ramble, chatette. One of the things that I'm really enjoying at the moment is just being me, being alive, being me, being happy with me. Carolyn and I went to a meeting on Saturday about safeguarding for adults, children, and the vulnerable, especially involved in the church. And God knows the church needs to get its safeguarding sorted out. But I was very impressed by the leaders. They were not interested on covering things up. They were interested on actually doing their job. But when we were there was this gentleman on the same table as us who really had some strange ideas. We were given an example that we had to discuss of a woman wanting to talk to you, who'd been abused 13 years ago. And he just had no concept of anybody needing to talk after that length of time. He sort of had this attitude, oh, neurotic women, you've got to give them a chance to talk it out of the systems. But he just didn't realise the effect that abuse has. Both Carolyn and I were abused as children from very early on. And Carolyn was probably ritually abused as well. But he sort of mentioned something and I blew it. I got very angry with him. And rather than tell him where to get off and do a cut job on him, I sort of got up and got a cup of tea and went out. And one of the leaders came out to see whether I was all right. And you needn't bother to come back in, you'll get your certificate anyway. Because we've been listening to what you've been saying and we know you know the subject. But I'm not really bothered about the certificate, although I've got it. And it still gives me permission to officiate because I've got that certificate. I don't have anything to do with the established religions, although Carolyn does, and is still involved in the local church. So I tend to take her everywhere she needs to go, and sometimes I stay for the service, sometimes I wait outside. Depends how things are going in the inside. Unfortunately, I'm very critical, and rather than cause problems, I'd rather just be outside waiting and reading, or just looking at the gravestones and the area around the church. during the war, I think it was the First World War, the Zeppelins, I think Zeppelins dropped bombs on the graveyard. So there are areas that are the results of those bombings where all the graves have gone, and it's just plain grassed area. Killingworth was, well, the whole area around Newcastle was full of mines of different collieries, none of which are around now, although they do open cast mining further up the coast. Anyway, enough of that. I wish you all the best. Have a happy hump day tomorrow, and it'll soon be the weekend again. May each and every day be very special to you. May you grow in wisdom and strength, and whatever belief you have, may you live your life according to your beliefs. I'll talk again at some other time.